Hi everybody, this is my video for my article review. Y'all just bear with me. We have had the flu at my house this week, and so I had to sneak away upstairs to get away from my kids to make my video. So you may hear some screaming in the background shortly. But the article that I chose was called Constructivism in the Developing Child. I read this article on Monday. When I left school, and I found it to be a very um, relatable article. It had a lot of things talking about the early childhood and the pre-K setting and lower grade settings, but it also talked about just constructivism as a whole and how it is frowned upon a lot nowadays, and how people can misconstrue the things that it's saying. To kind of summarize it up, it was saying how constructivism is how you allow children to kind of choose their own path. And as the teacher, how that kind of looks is you may have had one thing written down in your lesson plan or had this activity plan, but you notice that your kids are kind of pushing you in a different direction. Not so much off topic, but just in a different activity or a different, just a different way to teach it or learn it than what you were planning. And the importance of that is to kind of go with it. You don't have to completely lose the standard or whatever you are trying to teach. You're still wanting to teach that main point, but just to kind of give the kids the engagement and the involvement to make the learning their own. And that's what this article was really about, and how it also talked about testing and how testing is important. It's so important. We have to test. We have to do all kinds of assessments to make sure that our students are growing. But I know that, like, at our school, once they get to second and third and fourth, um, testing just becomes their life. And it just seems like every other day they're having to pre-test for this test, or having some kind of workshop for this next test. And it just makes me sad for those kids. And even my own kids, when they get there, I don't want school to be about testing. And yes, I want them to grow and to learn, but that's not the most important thing, is doing well on the test. We want the kids to really learn. Um, we want them to learn those standards and learn those benchmark things that we really want them to learn and grasp. And um, that was some more things that this article talked about was um, testing is important for their knowledge, but based on constructivism, it encourages the concept of experience and interaction. So it kind of goes back to that. Teachers need to be more interactive and not so much just be standing at a board preaching all day, or giving lectures. We need to, go outside with the kids when we're talking about the seasons. And, if we're talking about, like last week, we were talking about the Three Little Pigs in my class, because we were talking about imagination. And, I let the kids build with sticks, and we built with straw. And I let them use blocks for the bricks. And, we really talked about how the big bad wolf could blow it down. And I know that is such a, it seems like it's not important and they're not learning, but my kids were absolutely loving it. And they really realized the difference in materials and how strong things can be. And, and they just loved it. And seeing them engaged and laughing is the most important way to learn. And I just think they did a great job. But I agreed with this article pretty much through the whole thing. It was very just to the point and telling you how it is. So I really recommend this article to people who are kind of looking for ways to put this theory into action in their own classroom. I learned through this article that sometimes you do just have to let go, and that has been something that I have learned through being a pre-K teacher and through just the couple of weeks that we've been doing these classes. As a pre-K teacher, we are just there to model and to guide these kids. We're not there to, preach down their throats. And so it really helped me to learn that, we can be a teacher and these kids can learn. But sometimes we just have to go with the flow. And especially when they're little, that's the most important thing that that I took away from this. Like I said, when I was critiquing it, I did love it. there's just so many things that they said. They were talking about the ways to help put this theory into your classroom, and it was something that I was taking notes on because I try to do these things in my classroom, especially when the state comes to observe us. They're really big on open-ended questioning. Sometimes it's hard for me to ask my kids a question and then just give me a one answer, like, what do you see, or what did you build in the block center today? And they may say, a house. And I'm like, oh, that's a great house. But through this theory, they want you to continue asking those questions and saying, well, why? Why is this a house? How many stories is your house? Where is your house located? What about your real house? Do you have a brick house or do you have a wood house? And so it's very important just to keep pushing those kids to talk to you and to get everything that you can out of them. And another great thing that I thought they said in the article was how to encourage this at home. Um, Sometimes our parents aren't sure what they need to do to help our kids and, to help their own kids at home. And so this is a great thing that we can kind of tell them is to just, talk to your kids, interact with your kids. And if they're giving you these small answers, just keep pulling it out of them and, asking them, more and more and more, give me more. And eventually, they'll learn those words and they'll learn that language and, they'll be able to carry on conversations throughout the rest of their school history. So I just, I think this was a great article, and I enjoy reading it, and I hope you gain something from this.